Okay, so now I'm ready to export it. First thing I want to make sure before I export is I need to select and have my timeline box highlighted. And it's not highlighted right now. I think when I click it, it turns blue. Yep, I get the blue box. It used to be yellow in the older version of Premiere, but it says blue box. So it's letting me know that this timeline is highlighted. With that being highlighted, I'm going to come up to File, Export, Export the Media. What that's going to do is open up the Media Encoder. So it takes a second. Hopefully you all have Media Encoder downloaded on your computer. You should, by this point of the semester, have everything from Adobe on your computer, but hopefully you do. If you don't, we'll look at that. So it's opened up the Media Encoder, this box here. And the format I want to export in is an H.264. So you have choices. I think on yours, the default choice will probably be an AVI on the Windows-based computers. You probably will see AVI there. You want to do this drop down in the format, and on the Mac it would be a .mov. But you want to drop down and look for H.264 and select that. That's an MP4 file. And what that does is brings the source down, brings it down to a size. And depending on the size of your video, mine's 720 by 540, so there is a size in there. And if you did yours at the other, let's just say we're going to do yours at this HD format, and then we could take a look at it as we go. So we could do a test one. I'll do mine at this to see. So I'm running at 30 frames per second, and in video, it's not a true 30 frames per second. I'm not going to get too much into that now. It's 29.97 frames per second, but for all intents and purposes, it's 30 frames a second. So I'm going to choose this HD 720p 29.97. And I got that from my preset. So try that. What it's going to do is blow up my image a little bit, but this is going to be in that, let's see if it shows me a preview here. My output will look like this. So it did scale it up a little bit. This is what it's going to look like on the output. So it's a little blurry because it zoomed it up, but for Animatic, that's okay. The rest of the settings, I'll make sure to export video and audio or check. They will be by default. Okay, the next thing I want to do is tell it where to save it and what to name it. So in the output name, you have this blue text, and that's the name of our sequence that we made. Stinky Test Animatic. So what I want to do is click on that. We'll open up my where I want to save it. And it's, by me, it's saving it to where the last place I saved something at a Premiere. So I want to find out where I want to save it. So I'm going to go to my computer and find where I want to save it. And you should do that on yours. I want to put it in that same folder we were working in. So I'm going to my basic drawing, my animatic folder, and my animatic elements. And I'll save it right here in this. So Stinky Test Animatic. I'll put a date 2016-01, the first one I'm doing on it. So just giving it, you name it at this point, and then you're telling it where to save it. And it is saving it as H.264 is MP4 file, which keeps the file size small, but also visually, if we were doing with full color, it does keep the compression and makes it look nice. So once you name it and tell it where you want it to be saved, you hit save here. It still hasn't exported the movie yet. You're just telling it to make it this size movie, name it and save it here. The other information here, this is what the output is going to be. It tells us information about that. This is what the size it started at. It shows me the source and the output. you shouldn't have to touch any of these other parameters in here at this point. We'll learn more about that in the future, but for right now, all you want to do is set the H.264 HD 720p 29.97 and then you should be good with all that. And then what I want to do is come down here where it says export and click on the word export. Then it will export the movie. And it's going through and exporting it. And so it saved it in that folder. It was this one. And here's the I just made it today at 2:02, 2 seconds ago, and then I'm gonna open it with QuickTime, which is default.
Everyone listen up. I run a tight ship.